Okay, so again, heavy topic. All right? The yogi may experience life such as never experienced before. Then the knowledge of mentality is sharp as ever, as never experienced before. Then here we also mention joy, tireless tranquility, very refined happiness, very strong confidence and decision, also very well balanced and continuous exertion, very well established mindfulness, and very stable equanimity. So these are impurity of insight knowledges. So we have already talked about the light, last Dhamma talk. We also have already talked about insight knowledge. Then when we have all this impurity, we also call this immature or tender insight knowledge. When we can overcome all these things, we can say this is a mature insight knowledge. Then we can move next one. Because of in experience, the yogi may very easily think these things are equivalent to a path and fruits. He may become attached to them, then develop wrong view and conceit. That is how those things can become that we all inside contaminations, right? We call upakilesa. So that means sometimes we misunderstand all these things are path and fruition knowledge. Because of attainment of insight knowledge, we have all these experiences. So when we can overcome all these impurity, here after overcoming impurity of insight, the mature knowledge is purifications of practicing knowledge and vision. So this is the very beginning of purifications. We can start Vipassana. After that, we have to proceed to the next one. We have many different ways of discerning horizon and variation. I can move next one. So here we have to talk about many different ways of horizon and variations. Mostly when we study Buddhist texts, especially about insight knowledge, it will mention when they think about Udayabhaya, sometimes Kayavaya, sometimes Samudaya Vaya. When we study Samatha-Vipassanā Sutta, we have in our daily chant, Samudaya Dhammanupasiva, Kayesu, Kayasmin Viharati, Vaya Dhammanupasiva, something like that. Samudaya Vaya Dhammanupasiva, something like that. So that means horizon and aberration. So when we are going to overcome, sometimes although we are trying very hard, we cannot overcome this impurity, then there are many ways to overcome it. So now we have to discern cause and effect relationship. For example, material aggregate is also caused by ignorance. So we have to discern cause and effect relationship because arising of material aggregates, because arising of ignorance, the material aggregate arise. Again, craving. Because of the arising of craving, the material aggregate arise. Clinging again. Because of the arising of clinging, the material aggregate arise. Karma. Because of arising of karma, especially this is past karma, produce kamaja rupas, the material aggregate arise. It means karma produce materialities. Rather than nutriment. In this very life, nutriment also sustains this body. Because of the arising of nutriment, the material aggregate arise. So we have to discern arising stage. So now in the material aggregate, we have 5 ways of discernment. Ignorance is the cause, the material aggregate is the effect. Craving is the cause, the material aggregate is the effect. Clinging is the cause, the material aggregate is the effect. Karma is the cause, the cause, the material aggregate is the effect. Nutriment is the cause, the material aggregate is the effect. We have to discern all these cause and effect relationship. only the arising stage. The what about mental aggregates? So mental aggregates are caused by ignorance, craving, clinging, karma, and then contact. So we also have to disarm all these 5 one by one, 5 causes and mental aggregates one by one. So anyway, the main thing is there are 5 discernments of arising states for mental aggregates, 5 discernments of arising states, discernment in material aggregate altogether. 5 aggregate you can imagine. So in each aggregate there are 5, altogether 25 discernments of arising stage. Then similarly, we also have perishing stage. Because of the perishes of ignorance, the material aggregates perish. We can also say another way. Because of the cessations of ignorance, the material aggregate cease. We can also discern similarly, craving and material aggregate, clinging and material aggregate, karma and material aggregate, also nutriment and material aggregates. Also for mental aggregates, it will be the same: ignorance and mental aggregate, craving and mental aggregate, clinging and mental aggregate, karma and mental aggregate, or rather contact and mental aggregate. We can also discern 25 ways of discernment in perishing states or cessation states. So altogether, there are 25 ways of discernment in arising states, 25 ways of discernment in perishing states, altogether 50. After discerning all these ways, we can overcome all the impurity. This is the very beginning of insight, mature insight. So this is called Tirana Brinya, the full knowledge of investigation. Actually, Tirana also can be considered as overcoming or crossover. So we have already crossed over many of impurity, many of disturbance. Then many. Now we have to move next. In the slides. I see. Okay. Resolutions. Okay. Resolution knowledge, Banganyana. Seeing momentary arising of mentality and materialities, one can continue practicing for this knowledge. Here we talk about dissolutions. This means Banga. We can also understand otherwise only perishing stage. So in the very beginning, we have to know both arising and perishing states, but gradually, when our inside knowledge becomes very strong and powerful, we can also know very rapid arising and perishings. Finally, we cannot know the arising stage. We just know the perishing stage of Namarubats. At that we can say Venganyana. So sometimes we may have difficulty to see only perishing states. So in the very beginning, we have to practice both arising and perishing until it becomes very clear and very obvious. When inside knowledge becomes very strong and powerful, we just emphasize, focus on only perishing states. Don't think about arising states anymore. Then we can overcome all the difficulty. We can also continue practicing only perishing states of all Namarupats. Then the materiality is impermanent. Our inside knowledge is also impermanent. We also call this one, we have to do this one as patvdh. So the patvdh means we have to know both of them. Then inside knowledge is also, Rupa is also impermanent. The knowledge that knows that Rupa is also impermanent, something like that. So it will be very much in detail. We can use all the Namarupas methods, 5 aggregate methods, 12 base methods, 80 elements methods. We can use all these methods there. Then Adinava Vipassana, knowing the operations of the objects, knowing the operations of inside knowledge. Then these are also called Adinava Vipassana. After that, appearance as emptiness of self. Then when these 3 natures are clear, is a higher inside knowledge we call Adipanya Vipassana. So we can easily know the horizon and the variations of insight knowledge. We can also know the objects, object means nama rupas. Then briefly, when we talk about adipanya, adi means superior or higher. That means higher vipassana. Although we talk about many insight knowledges in this state, actually this is number 5, right? We have already talked about 16 insight knowledges. This is only number 5. You can imagine 11 insight knowledge remaining, right? Although we analyze or we categorize many different types of insight knowledges, but in reality, it's not that much complicated. After dissolution knowledge, within one sitting, you can experience all other higher insight knowledges. If insight knowledge becomes mature, within one sitting, we can also attain path and fruition knowledge. It depends on how mature our insight knowledge, how sharp our wisdom. Okay, now next one, we have to move. The benefit of this knowledge. So when we have very strong and mature insight knowledge, then we may have overcoming eternal view. So we just know only variation states, right? Then how can we have eternal view? If we say eternal view, then the life is impermanent, and the life is permanent, right? So this from this life, all the namarupa will continue in this life. But when we have already practiced this method, we have already overcome eternal view. Okay, one more thing about the namarupas again, right? We have already said namarupa will arise as a series, as a process. So the last object, the last mind moment is death. After death, there will be rebirth. No interval time between these two, no interruptions between these two. Rebirth, and before that is death. Death and rebirth, these two are continuous process. After passing away of death moment, there's a rising moment of rebirth. So, as I have given one simile in my last Dhamma talk, like a candlelight. So we will lit one candlelight with another candlelight. The first candlelight, the flame from the first candlelight does not go to second candlelight. This is just normal, the nature. Similarly, now in our life, our death moments, only karmic forks will produce rebirth. We cannot have any other external help, no everlasting entity that go to next life. Only the karmic forks produce next namarupas, especially karma produce namarupas there. Another one is bhavani kanti parichago, no more considerations of life. Actually, bhavani kanti we can also understand as like attachment to the life. We all have attachment to our life. All the living beings also have attachment to their life. People may say, I don't have attachment to my life. As long as we cannot attain arhatiship, we may have attachment to our life. Even anagami have attachment to their life. But here, no more considerations of life. That means he can give up his life for practice. He may have that kind of belief, that kind of confidence. Satayutta payutta, practicing day and night all the time. That means we may have continuous efforts. More diligent, we can understand like that. Especially when we have some improvements, we are eager to practice. Even in this meditation retreat, actually, there are many meditators. They also report many times, right? I don't think I'm improving. Sure, it's not that easy to improve within 10 days. right? So sometimes when we have some improvements, our mind will incline to meditation more. So this is also one of the mind power. So in his case, he has already practiced up to the resolution knowledge. That is why he is eager to continue practicing. Then Visuddha Jivita, pure livelihood. This is also important. Now in modern community, many people say, I have already practiced Vipassana. I have already practiced up to Sankalpa Jnana. They have said many things. They say they have already developed insight knowledge up to very high level. Sometimes their livelihood is not that pure. Right? Okay, for example, pure livelihoods will be a little bit complicated for modern society. For example, we have 5 precepts. Right? We have 5 precepts. Sometimes we break all the precepts for our livelihoods. It becomes wrong livelihoods. We also have 8 precepts. 8 precepts are not for all the time livelihoods. Okay, now we should talk about 3 bodily wrong actions, 4 verbal wrong actions. These are immoral. So if we break any of moral precepts, or if we cannot observe the 3, if we cannot abstain from 3 bodily wrong actions and 4 verbal wrong actions, doesn't mean we have impure livelihoods, improper livelihoods. When we have very strong and very powerful insight knowledge, we must have pure livelihoods, Visuddha Jivita. This is also important. Another one is Osukka Pahana, removing all the affairs, busy things. Sometimes we just make ourselves busy, sometimes unnecessarily busy. So that means we may have many the unnecessary things. We have to take care of many different things, not that much necessary, right? Okay, practically, we may have, when somebody come to Tawya, they say, I will practice anti-agentic nirvana. But I just say very simple things. Okay, if you wish to do, just give up your telephone. Even very simple things they cannot do. Don't expect very high quality. Right? So that means unnecessarily busy. That means when we have very strong insight knowledge, we will remove all we will stop all the unnecessary things. We will not be busy with unnecessary things. The another one is Vikata Bhayata, no more fear. So in reality, only Anagami can eradicate fear. So which means when we attain Anagami, we can eradicate dosa. So here I just use the Pali word dosa, right? Sometimes people also can misunderstand this Pali word. When we say dosa as anger or hatred, then they misunderstand. One time when I give Dhamma talk in Malaysia, I talk about, and I just translate dosa as a hatred. Now one lady asked me, sometimes I scold my son, I get angry, but I don't hate him. What kind of mental feta it is? Then I say, oh, it is also dosa. No, I don't hate. No, she say, then, okay, then I shouldn't translate dosa as a hatred or anger, right? Dosa means hatred, anger, worry, anxiety, unpleasantness, despair, lamentation, many things. Okay, that is when this dosa is very wide. Now here, fear also dosa. Okay, scary, fear, this is also dosa. When we can overcome dosa, no more fear, no more scary, no more worry. So sometimes we worry about many unnecessary things. Right? This is also one of the problem of dosa. So now when we can practice the knowledge of the solutions, no more fear. Then kanti soraja bati labo, forbearance and delight in Dhamma. Forbearance, we can also say patience, right? Then delight in Dhamma. Mostly, we are impatient with our practice. We need to improve very quickly. Within one sitting, we expect too much. So when we are going to talk about forbearance or patience, we have to explain one more thing. Kamma paribhara in Pali, another Pali word. When we are practicing, we must practice patiently. If we are impatient, we cannot improve. So sometimes we have to be patient with external things, such as noise, gas flies, mosquitoes. But in Singapore, it's very easy, right? No mosquito. It's very easy to survive, huh? As a meditator. Only the problem is the noise. Anyway, so when we have many external disturbances, such as heat and cold, it also can be external. So we have to be patient with heat, cold, mosquito bites, noise, and many other external things. Similarly, internally, thirsty, hungry, pain, disturbance, distractions, worry, many things internally. We have to be patient with all these things. Otherwise, we cannot improve. So when we have achieved that kind of insight knowledge, it will happen naturally. Although there's a noise, okay, let them do noisy things. If there's a mosquito, okay, let them bite. Actually, this thing can really happen. You know, many of my disciples have this kind of experiences. Sometimes I myself also have some experiences about mosquito bites. You know, sometimes maybe 2 or 3 mosquitoes in my room. I also have mosquito catcher. You know? My disciple come, oh, Seattle, there's mosquitoes. Okay, let them live. Only and in 2 or 3 days they will bite. After that, no more biting. They die already. You know? So actually, after one time biting, if they, you know, they just take a blood from our body, right? After taking a blood maybe 2 or 3 times, then they cannot bite anymore. So that's why this is also called patience. It's not because of Vipassana. Just natural things happen. Right? So then we kanti, external things. So if we don't have this kind of kanti, sure, panadipata, very easy. So only one strike, mosquito can die, right? Even we touch gently, they can die also. Anyway, the main thing is we may have more forbearance and delight in Dhamma. So sometimes we are not very happy with our practice. So when we have very high achievements, our mind will delight in Dhamma. 8. Arati, Rati, Sanata, overcoming known delights of the forest monastery and meditation and delighting in sensual pleasure. So sometimes we have the problem of known delight in seclusion. Mostly we like noisy things, but not all the time. So we are very familiar with noisy things. Now, previously, I don't know what is it, what kind of music it is, you know. But whenever we go out, especially like especially Myanmar New Year, you know, when I have to go out, it's very noisy music. Then sometimes, you know, classic music, but they mix up with modern things, the DJ. You know? I don't know DJ. But before I asked my Kavya, why they do like this? Cielo, this is DJ, it's very noisy. Sometimes, it make vibration on the ground. Very, 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 very loudspeaker. Then anyway, the main thing is noisy. Then sure, people like noisy things. Maybe, okay, when we are going to listen, for example, I think most of the population here are Chinese, right? Chinese harp, And when I go to the restaurant, they have their music. Very calm and quiet, right? So sure, sometimes people also say like this kind of music. Even in meditation, I think a few days ago, last night maybe, one meditator asked me about meditation. When I meditate, I just listen to music and meditate, I feel a little bit better. Very calm music, and she could feel better. So that means even in meditation, they like noisy things. They want to listen something. So that means we like many different things, like colorful things, maybe different sounds, different music, also different tastes, different sensations. So in the meditation, only one thing, that's why we cannot delight in it that long. However, sometimes our mind is not that much active to know one thing, that we to change other objects. This is the normal. Not only the forest monastery, or maybe we can say seclusion. Actually, now when we are in the community, we think that we are brave. When we live alone in a quiet place, we feel scared. So that means we are not very familiar with quietness and calmness, especially when we have too much tranquility. We are not ready to accept that kind of situation. Many times, many meditators have experience. When they are meditating, I feel a bit scary. It's too quiet, too calm, too still. Then this is normal. So when we have very strong inside knowledge, the knowledge of resolutions, then we can overcome all these things. Then we may not delight in sensual pleasure. Of course, sensual pleasure are more delightable, right? It's colorful. It's also more attractive than meditation. In meditation, doing only one thing. In fact, sensual pleasure, there are many things. That is why when we have very strong inside knowledge, we have all these benefits. Okay, the next slide. The next one. Okay, now, fearsome knowledge. Bhayanyana. So when we talk about Bhayanyana, so fear does not arise in him, but the formation appears as fearful. Sometimes people misunderstand. Oh, I feel scared. This is fearful, fearsome knowledge. It's not like that. Then we may know the formation as fearful, or formations appears as fearful. This is called fearsome knowledges. So when contemplating as impermanent, the sign of formation, we call nimitta, appear as fearsome. Now when contemplating as suffering, the arising of material and mental, immaterial lives, we call poverty, as so-called happiness, appear as fearsome. So sometimes we also say happiness, right? We mostly enjoy here so-called happiness. That means it does not last long. So when we know material lives or immaterial life as suffering, we don't think, right, it is delightful anymore. We may see as fearsome. Then when contemplating as non-selves, both nimitta and poverty. Nimitta and poverty mean, previous one, sign of formations and material and immaterial lives appear as a fearsome. So by contemplating anicca, dukkha, anatta, then there will be fearsome knowledges. Actually, there are many other things to know about it. Okay, move next one. Here you can imagine I think if I explain all these things, it will be very heavy topic for you again. Okay? So, okay, I will just read out, right? 1. Upadana, rising, here produced by past karma. Pavada, the saga of existence. That means we have to be reborn in many different lives, or we have to be reborn in the same lives. Nimitta, the sign of formation, we already talk about it. Right? After that, Ayuhana, striving for new karmas, the cause of future rebirth. Then Bodhisanti, rebirth. 6, next one. 6. Gati, destination. Then Nipati, becoming or rising of 5 gates. Upapati, spontaneous birth, rising of result. Jadi, rebirth. Jara, aging. Vyadi, sickness. Marana, death. Soka, sorrow. Parideva, lamentation. Ubayasa, despair. So this go 8, disenchantment knowledge, Nibbida Jnana. Actually, fear some knowledge. Can you danger previous page? Danger knowledge, fear some knowledge, then danger knowledge. Now next one, disenchantment. Although they have different name, but they have the same structure of knowledge. We have to do the same thing, the same procedure. Okay? Next one. The liberation, longing knowledge. Mojitu Kamyata. His mind does not have any more clinging to any information. Bhava, life, yoni, destination, kati, etc. That means I have already listed all the things in my previous slides, right? So he's willing to release from the formation. Okay. One more thing here. Sometimes we are unwilling to give up. Then we cannot improve. So many things we have to give up. If we cannot give up, we cannot improve. The meaning of right actions, the meaning of right efforts, covers giving up. If we cannot give up many of bad things, bad habits, we cannot improve. Anyway, now we talk about liberation, longing, knowledge. That means the knowledge or longing for liberation, right? Mojitu Kamyata. Although we have different names, but actually it will be similar to the next one. 10. Reflection knowledge, Bodhisankha. There are 12 definitions of impermanence. Anicca door, Anachandika door, and never to overcome, and Tavakalika door, borrowing things. Also, Ubadavaya Bodhicina door, limited by rising and variation. Paloka door, etc. So here I didn't write down because many of Marittara here are really very beginner, right? That's why when we talk about anicca or dukkha or too much, it will be a very heavy topic. So here I just mentioned 12 definitions of impermanence. But here I just write down only 3. So there are many other things, right? So, okay, now we talk about borrowing things. We will borrow a book from the library. We have to return it, right? Similarly, we may loan some money from other people. We have to return. Rent a house, renting a house, we have to return to the owner. So, similarly, this body is not our own. That's temporary use. When we pass away, throw away. Nobody will use this body anymore. Nobody will to see anymore. Just go and burn. Or just throw away anywhere. So this is the nature of aggregate. All we have are borrowing things. Sometimes when we talk about our belonging, right? Even this body does not belong to us. What about other things? Like a house, car, right? Many others, belongings, jewelries, all other belongings. Although we say it's our belongings, but it does not belong to us. They just visit for a while. Either they will go to their previous owner. So we have to understand many different ways of anicca. Similarly, 26 definitions of suffering. Bina Bati Bilanato, ever torturing. So this body is torturing us day and night. Actually, when we meditate, it's very, very clear, right? After sitting a long time, maybe half an hour, stop making problem. Pain, discomfort, many things. If we use too much effort, stiffness, tension is one of the problem. Every day, everywhere, anytime, this body is torturing us, give him many, many problems. So when I was young, especially in the Bali school, the teachers just say very simple things. If we don't know about dukkha, okay, very easy to understand dukkha. If you don't have meal, how do you feel? You become servant for this body. So if you don't take shower, how do you feel? You have to take shower. You have to serve this body by taking shower. If you don't drink, if you don't sleep, if you don't walk, just sitting whole day, how do you feel? This you have to follow the demand of the body. Right? So this means the body is always torturing us. This is called abhina batibilanato. Then dukkamato, unbearable. Actually, if we don't fulfill kanti parami, we cannot survive, especially for this body, right? Then dukkha vuttuto, the foundations of suffering. So since we were born together with suffering, that's when this foundations of suffering. We can experience many different types of suffering from this body. Okay, now the last part. 7 definitions of asubha. So here I just write down all these things because these are very rare. So for about anicca door, dukkha door, anatta door, we can find in 40 door method in samasana jnana, but this one can be found only in very high knowledge. So ajanya door, undesirable. Then dukkanda door, full smell. Jigocha door, loathsome. Patigula door, repulsiveness. Amaganda raha door. Amadana raha door. Disappearance of beauty by not doing decorations. So actually, now here majority are ladies, right? You know more about you know about all this more than me. So after decorations, I don't know how long does it take. A few hours maybe, right? Then it becomes normal. This is called amadana raha door. So although we're trying to be defined in many different ways, it will remain the same stage. Come back to its natural. Then virupa door, deformed. This body is deforming every day, every night, every second. We don't know. You can imagine newly born baby to now, how you grow up, changing, right? So when I started giving interview, I was 32 years old. But many people say, oh, you are too young. No, I'm not young anymore. Right? So anyway, the main thing is it's always changing, deforming. Then Wechat door, disgusting. Actually, when we know that little body parts, we can also know all these things. Okay? Now, 7 definitions of non-self. Parado, Rita do, Ducha do, Sunya do, Asamika do, Anisara do, also Avasavati do. These are the definitions of non-selves. It will be too long for new meditators. We should talk about anatta. Actually, in Buddha's teaching, this is a little bit different from other traditions. We talk about anatta, non-self. Buddha also say no everlasting entity. This is also called anatta. This is not our belonging. We can also this is also anatta. Okay, to understand anatta, we have to analyze a little bit more. For example, I always say this body does not belong to us. It's just go by its own nature. It's out of our control. That's what we call anatta, not myself. It's not ours. Then, not only that, there's no everlasting entity in this body. So we have already talked about it. This body is made of small particles. There will be different materialities in every particles. They also rise and perish very rapidly, out of our control. That's why no everlasting entity. Then we also have like the creator. Who created this karma, this body? Our karma created this body. Karma also perish. Creator is also perish. This body also has to perish. So anyway, the main thing is that when we talk about anatta, there are many, many other definitions of anatta. We have to understand a little bit deeper than normal non-self. Okay, we have a lot of knowledge about non-self, but we have to know a little bit more in detail. But here it will be too long for new meditators. That's why I didn't say many different things, right? Okay, now next one. Formation equanimity knowledge. Okay, this one will be the last part. Okay, don't move any slideshow, right? Operator, right? Don't move any slideshow. This will be the last part for today. So formation equanimity knowledge, Sankarupika Jnana, defining or discerning in two ways of sunyata and so forth. Okay, here sabbe sankara sunya. That means all these formations are empty. That means no everlasting entity, no essence. Then sunya midam adinawa adiniya adiniyenawa. So that means there's no atta. So nothing that belongs to atta. Definitions of discerning in four ways of sunyata. Okay, so if I say all this, it will be too long. One more thing. When we talk about sunyata, we also mostly we translate as emptiness. Actually, there are many different steps of emptiness, but here in this practice, it just mentions anything about anatta, mostly. Then it also repeats previous potito. As we mentioned before, there are 12 definitions of anicca, impermanence, 27 definitions of dukkha, suffering, then 7 definitions of anatta. All these will repeat in this practice. Then there are many other different practices, more than that. So we can say this will be the last part of practice. When our instant knowledge becomes very strong and powerful and mature, then there will be the next step, don't move, right? Then after that, until we can take path and fruition knowledge, only one mind moment it can be. So sorry, no one mental process. Then we can attain path and fruition knowledge. Okay, so this is the last part. Then now I'm very heavy topic already, right? Then we have to change the topic. Okay, nothing, no more about inside knowledge. So when we are practicing, what do we need? We have 5 powers. So mostly we have many competition in our daily life. Although we have to compete with other people for worldly educations or for worldly knowledge or worldly achievements, we need these 5. These 5 will make people different. The first one is confidence, saddha. This is also a kind of spiritual power that can make people change a lot. It can be very big change in any situation. The another one is the way we believe must be different. When we are going to practice, we must believe in the path we are trodden. So if we don't believe the path we are going, we cannot be successful. Another one is the achievement, our aim or our goal. Sometimes we don't, for example, for Buddhists, if we don't believe in Nirvana, so we will not practice for Nirvana. Okay, for example, in daily life, if you don't believe in money, you're not trying to earn money. Right? So we must believe in the way we are working. We must believe our aim. After that, we can achieve. So basically, we must have this kind of belief, that kind of faith. This is called power. In Bali, bala, saddha bala. Saddha is a power. We can say confidence is a power. So when we are going to compete with other people, when somebody is very successful, why? Sure. If somebody is more successful than me, he has a stronger faith. We have different faith, right? For example, even in meditation, there are some meditator, they can do better than me. Then why? It's very clear. Their confidence is stronger than me. Then another one is viriya. In the case of viriya, we have 2 different things. Kayika viriya, this means bodily energy. Another is manasika viriya or chitasika viriya, mental energy. We have to use our mind power. We have to use our bodily power to achieve what we wish. If we don't have enough mind power or enough bodily energy, we cannot achieve. So this is also one thing. Then next one, mindfulness. Then in modern society also self-awareness, right? There's also self-awareness. Actually, previously I haven't learned anything about like soft skill too much because mostly I just read many other books. Recently, I think when I was in Chicago University, I have got one small booklet from Oxford University. This is called Self-Awareness, small book. Then I understand, oh, this is similar to our practice. Then I just have learned, oh, this is also a kind of soft skill. Okay, anyway, now when we talk about mindfulness, sure, we have to be aware of ourselves. What do we need to do? What's our weakness? If we are not aware of our weakness, we cannot improve. So mindfulness, we call sati, right? So whenever we talk about sati, there's also sampajanya, clear comprehension. So we must understand clearly. We must try to understand everything clearly. Sometimes we are doing without understanding. Okay, anyway, now mindfulness. So sati or awareness. If we are aware of ourselves, our weakness, also our ability, then also if we are aware of other people, we can communicate better, we can do better. In the case of meditation, sure, we must be aware of ourselves most of the time. For example, if we cannot improve our meditation, we have to check what's our weakness. Too much effort, or very weak effort, or lack of confidence, or unhealthy. There are many supporting causes of meditation. We have to check all these things. If we are not aware of all these situations, we will remain in the same state. Again, next one is samadhi, concentration. Even in modern society, we also have special soft skill, right? Focused or passion. Even we are trying for worldly achievements, we have to focus on our job. We have a passion or focus. If we are fully focused on one thing, we can be successful. Similarly, when we are meditating, we must focus on meditation, concentration. So, okay, for about meditator, we should talk about concentration. We should not talk about focus too much, right? Like this passion of focus it will be only worldly activities, worldly achievement. For meditation, concentration. We must be able to concentrate on one thing all the time that we can achieve. Then another one, the last one, panya, wisdom. There will be many definitions of wisdom. If we just make it short, there are only 3 types of wisdoms in Buddha's teaching. The first one is learning knowledge. In Bali, we call Suttamaya Jnana. Suttami, hearing or listening. But Asian culture, we have to teach orally. That means teacher had to recite something. Students also have to follow. After that, we have to memorize. That's why, because we have oral tradition, that's why we just use the Bali word sutta. But when we translate it into Burmese, we just use seeing or hearing. But in modern educations, there are some blind people, right? Then they can learn by sensation. Right? They can read by touching scripts. So anyway, the main thing is any of learning education, learning knowledge can be considered as a Suttamaya Jnana. We can learn anywhere by reading, by watching, by touching. Anyways, when we learn, we can be knowledgeable. This is called Suttamaya Jnana. Another one is Chintamaya Jnana, thinking. We read the same book, but we have different background. We understand differently. Maybe 10 years ago, I have one Dhamma friend. He's also known forest resident bhikkhu. We have to get Dhamma talk in one place together. Then we have to, in the very beginning, the devotee come for dana in Pao. I have to give Anumodana. He's also sitting nearby me. And just choose one sutta from Anguttara Nikaya and talk to them. Then after that, my Dhamma friend told me, he's my junior, told me, oh, Bhante, I also have learned this sutta, but different approach. Because we have different background. Anyway, the main thing is thinking. So if our thinking, our idea is different, the way we think is different, sure, there will be different understanding, different knowledge. It will make people different. So we may have positive thinking, sure, we will be better. We have negative thinking, then we will go down. Experiencing the same things, we can have 2 different ideas. One is positive, another one is negative. These 2 will go different ways, different directions. So second one is we call Chintamaya Jnana, the knowledge produced by thinking. The last one is the Bhavanamaya Jnana, by practicing. So now for meditator, by practicing, we will become skillful, we will become knowledgeable. This is called Bhavanamaya Jnana. So these 5 will make people different. Saddha, confidence; Viriya, mental effort or body effort, mental energy or body energy; awareness, sati; concentrations, wisdom. These are the 5 powers that make people different. When we want to achieve something, we have to try to know how many of these 5 are strong and powerful in our practice, in our daily life. Then if we are strong enough, we will be successful. If we are not strong enough, we will not be successful. Okay? So trying to restart as a new meditator in any single sections. Also, when you cannot improve, trying to check how many of these 5 are weak or strong. Then you can balance again, you can improve again. Okay? May you all be able to practice the Buddha's teaching, and may you all be able to realize the final cessation.
Yeah, yes, Yado. He would like to ask if, just as Yado said that to know the breath, but he doesn't know. Without knowing the position and the in and out breath, it is still acceptable. So these instructions means the subtle breath only, or at the very beginning of the practice, it is still acceptable. Because for the former means just only knowing the breath. Sometimes it is because the mind power is not enough. So he could not know the in and out breath and cannot know the position. He just know the breath only.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to maintain this awareness, just to maintain, to know, to aware of the breath only. But sooner or later, the in and out breath or the positions will be known.
Mm-hmm.
Until the nimitta is stable. 就此知道产相不观. Until the nimitta is stable, then the meditator just know the nimitta and ignore the breath. And for the means there are 2 ways. One is just to know the breath without knowing the in and out or positions at the beginning, and sooner or later automatically he will know in and out and position until knowing the nimitta. When the nimitta is known, then he just ignore the breath. This is one way. Another way is at the very beginning he should know the breath, and without knowing the in and out and positions. In this way, is it acceptable?
Mm-hmm. Actually, in the very beginning, if you can know in and out breath, is it better? Sometimes when your breath becomes subtle, you can know only the breathing without knowing in and out. Actually, it does not come from the mind power. It just comes from your skill. Right? If you wish to know, if you're willing to know, you can know it. Sometimes if you have a lot of analyzing or investigating, it will get worse. This is also one thing. So you can balance your efforts. It's possible to know in and out breath in the very beginning. When it becomes very subtle, so as you mentioned now, you can know only the breath without knowing in and out. Otherwise, the nimitta. Okay, in the question also already mentioned, when we can know the nimitta, we cannot know the breathing anymore, right? So as long as you can know the breathing, keep on focus on the breathing, but later when you can know the nimitta, when your mind naturally switch, focus on the nimitta, don't think about the breath anymore. So in this way, you can maintain. Okay? Next one.
Madame he would like to ask, he has serious PAO, means a hemorrhoids growth at the back, so he cannot sit. So he would like to ask, can he use other posture to practice Ānāpānassati, for example, by walking or standing to practice Ānāpānassati in this posture? Is it effective for meditation? Also, he would like to ask, in the sutta, it mentioned that Venerable Ananda attains arhanships by got his attainment by walking. So he would like to ask, what meditation method had Venerable Ananda used so that he can attain by walking?
Actually, not only Ānāpānassati, any meditation subjects, right? We can use in any posture. It's allowable. Right? So that means Samatha-Vipassanā. When we talk about Samatha-Vipassanā, there are many different types of Samatha-Vipassanā, right? For example, like knowing one meditation subject day and night, everywhere, this is also called Samatha-Vipassanā. Another one, I have to correct what you understand. Venerable Ananda does not attain headship while walking. So you must understand this one, right? He's free from full posture. Furthermore, he do walking meditation. After that, he come back, do lying down, do rest for a while. Then keep practicing Vipassana. So before he lying down, he just lying down, before his head touch to the pillow, but his leg also lifted from the floor, then he attained headship. So he's neither standing, nor sitting, nor lying, nor walking. So he just attained headship like that. So what kind of practice did he do? Okay, we don't have any information about it. But he was, knowledgeable. He know how to do, right? So, okay, if you wish to know more in detail, I think it will be better for you to go and read Rupa Sataka, Arupa Sataka, and Visuddhimagga. 7 ways of discerning Rupa, 7 ways of discerning Nama, something like that. Then it will be clearer for you. When we do walking meditation, how we should do, it will mention very much in detail. Okay?
Yes, Yado. How to balance the 5 indriya during the practice and how to develop or how to improve the 5 power.
Okay, sure. Good question, right? So I just talk about 5 power. You just ask this question. Then, okay, we have 2 different parts. The first one is concentration and viriya, effort. If we cannot balance these 2, we cannot practice very well. This is the one thing. Because sometimes we have very strong mental energy. We also use very strong bodily energy. But if we don't have concentrations, more restlessness. We cannot improve easily. Then, in other words, sometimes we have very strong concentrations, but we cannot maintain. We will fall asleep. Or we may be lazy. There will be side effects. If we can balance these 2, concentrations and efforts, then we can improve easier. The next one is confidence and wisdom. Sometimes we have confidence, but we are not wise. We can believe in wrong things, sometimes overconfident. If we are wise enough, we can balance. Sometimes many people believe in many superstitions. They have many superstitions, right? They believe in many different minor things, improper things. So, for example, I have met one bhikkhu, or one meditator, right? He told me, oh, one of these Sri Lankan devotee, he has very strong power. He can send people to Nibbana directly. They have that kind of belief. It's a foreigner, not Myanmar. Also, well educated. Sometimes we have confidence, but that confidence cannot make our mind clear. One more thing here, right? We have one Pali word, sattva-dimokha. When we have confidence, we have decision. As we believe, we determine, we decide. Sometimes our decisions are unchangeable because of overconfidence. It like votes. So we must be wise. It's beneficial or not, positive or not. If we are wise, we can overcome this problem. Sometimes we have a lot of analyzing. We can investigate very much in detail, very wise, very intelligent, sometimes overthinking. Then we must balance confidence. The more we analyze, the more we investigate, the more we have doubt. So when we have a lot of doubt about many things, we must balance with confidence. Especially in meditation, it's more important. So if we can balance concentrations and efforts, wisdom and faith, then we can improve. The key player is mindfulness, or awareness. If we are mindful enough, we can know which ones are weak, which ones are strong. What is necessary, what is unnecessary. Then we can balance better. Okay? The next one.
Vandami Sayadaw, please Sayadaw advise what is the reason why crying also dosa mental state. Sometimes people crying for overcome that had emotion for health of mental state also. Sayadaw, thank you very much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. So we should talk about dosa, okay? In Bali, dosa comes from dosa. Dosa means spoiling or destroying the mind. So unpleasant mind, we can also understand like that. So actually, when you are going to, and here I just talk about lamentation, right? I don't say crying, lamentation. Sometimes you, because of strong happiness, you may cry. This is the one thing. And then we cannot say, this is the dosa. Because of happiness, you cry. It will be different, right? Anyway, when we talk about dosa, dosa means dusana. Dusana means, we also say duta means spoil or destroy. It's destroying our natural mind. Also, it also spoiling other people, destroying other things. This one is called dosa. Okay. Sometimes we can also like it make it's called like some insultation, insulting other people. You know, this is also called dosa, dosana. So there can be many different meaning of dosa. There are many other definitions of dosa. Right. So the main thing is we have like it will be a little bit long, right? Okay, we have many different foundations of dosa. We can see like that. Okay, sometimes dosa come from our enemy because dosa is produced by our enemies. Right? So, for example, somebody have done something harmful to us. We may hate, we may get angry. This is also dosa. We may worry. Dosa. Right? For example, we may worry about future, or he will make this kind of problem to me again in the future. Worry. This is also dosa. Sometimes, because of our beloved one, we have to get angry, right? Sometimes unreasonable anger. Unreasonable anger means, for example, like too hot, get angry. Or too cold, angry, for example. Raining, too heavy rain, or get angry, unreasonable. But in Singapore, you may not have this kind of anger, right? Singapore is a little bit easier because hot and rain is normal. You don't have very bad weather. Also, another one is and you don't depend on agriculture. If we have some plantations, rain will be the problem. For example, like sesame. I was born in Magui region, sesame. So if we are going to harvest sesame, for example, if rain is the problem. So when we are going to harvest or after harvesting, if there's a rain, this is the problem. Then people will get angry, right? Because of rain. So there are many, many unreasonable anger. Okay, that means sometimes an unreasonable worry. Although it does not rain, we may worry about, oh no, cloudy. If it rain, I'll have the problem. Unreasonable worry, right? So anyway, the main thing is when we talk about dosa or domanassa, that means we have something unpleasant in our mind. If you feel something unpleasant, this is called dosa. Okay, we can also say mental pain or mental suffering. Okay, next one.
Dear Sayadaw, regarding the term impurities or imperfection, now some Vipassana meditators practice to stay in peaceful state for a long time. How do they check to make sure they did not mistaken one of the impurities as peaceful state? Could Sayadaw please explain what is Vikanti attachment?
Okay, sure. These two questions has a relationship. Sometimes, okay, now in the question already mentioned, right? Peaceful states. Because it's a tranquility also peaceful. Joy and bliss also peaceful sometimes. Anyway, so the problem is the attachment to peacefulness. So mostly, they may say they will live in the peaceful states. Right? Then, what about other practice? Mostly people stop in that kind of states. You know, when they meditate, when they can feel peacefulness, oh, it's very peaceful, that they just stop there. No more improvement. This is because of attachment. After practicing the very long time, then they know this is peaceful. Then they cannot improve anymore because of attachment, nikanti. So among the impurity, nikanti is very, very bad. The most dangerous impurity. Although we have rapture, joy, bliss, tranquility, peaceful, if we don't have attachment to it, we can overcome it. If we have attachment, we cannot overcome anymore. So nikanti is more serious among the 10. So that means how to check, right? How to make sure, no mistaken. Actually, it's a little bit simple. If they say peacefulness, and if they know that there is a like path and fruition knowledge, okay, just try to enter fruition attainment. If they cannot enter fruition attainment, sure, this is the only impurity. It's very obvious. So peacefulness is one that we can do many different ways to be peaceful, but to improve is another. If we want to improve, don't touch the peacefulness also. Right? You will stop there very long time without improving. So, okay, briefly, most of the meditator will spend their time in the peacefulness. This is mostly mistake. Because attachment to it, they will spend very long time. Okay, next one.
Every day he meditates for 2 hours. At the very beginning of sitting, he knows the breath, but after that, he doesn't know anything at all. So what to do next? How to do?
Okay, so if you cannot know anything, then you are falling to bhojanka or fall asleep. This is one of the two. Mostly, when you feel peacefulness too much, your mind will follow peacefulness. I have mentioned previous question, right? Peacefulness. Then you will fall into bhojanka states, like a kind of unconscious state. You know the object, you cannot clarify what kind of object you know. This is called bhojanka mind states. So you will spend in that kind of state very long time. When it becomes habit, then you cannot meditate very well. So before that kind of things happen, you can remind yourself to keep doing the breathing, especially when you have too much calmness, quietness, peacefulness, You have to remind yourself to keep knowing the breath after a few seconds, after a few minutes, something like that. If you can remind repeatedly, then it will be easier for you to maintain. Otherwise, it will happen again and again. Okay? Next one.
Dear Sayadaw, Sayadaw explained about ways of defining discerning sunyata. Does it mean that meditators need to differentiate the different types of sunyata in the
Sankharupa stage?
Yes.
Sankharupa stage. Okay. Okay, so in this case, okay, we can say many different types of sunyata, for sure. I think it mentioned, I think, 47 ways of sunyata, it mentioned, I think, up to. Now it started with number 2 types of sunyata, gradually, and up to 47 types of sunyata. It mentioned step and step, right? So we have to differentiate, we have to understand all these things in the Sankharupa stage. Okay? The next one.
Could Sayadaw give an example of using mindfulness and for comprehension practically to understand one's meditation or one's weakness and abilities?
Okay. So I will give one example of the Buddha and his teacher, Alara Kalama. Okay. So when he listened, when he was listening to Alara Kalama for meditation instructions, he just had that kind of reflections. He also has very strong confidence. I also have very strong confidence. Then he was actually at that time, Alara Kalama was talking, teaching with very strong confidence. He can teach everything in detail. Also, the Buddha also understands. He also has very strong efforts. Then he is also diligent. We can say like that. I'm also diligent. Then Alara Kalama is also mindful. I'm also mindful. Then Alara Kalama is also concentrated. I'm also concentrated. Well concentrated. Then Alara Kalama also wise. I'm also wise. Then if he can do, I can do. In comparison, this is the one way. Then another one is mindful and clear comprehension. Then we also have many other ways. So the main thing is we must have good association, good example around us. If we have great example, we can develop easily. I have mentioned Buddha and Alara Kalama, right? Then another one is we ourselves. If our mind inclined to mindfulness, we can be mindful everywhere. If we like mindfulness, we can be mindful everywhere. For example, if you like music, you can listen to music whole day, whole night. Similarly, if you like mindfulness, you can be mindful whole day, whole night. This is the way. So the first one is we ourselves. Second one is external. Come from our friends, practitioners, friend teacher, or anybody. Second one is ourselves, right? So now we can know our weakness or our ability. Why I have, for example, sometimes some meditator, they have very strong confidence. You know, a few years ago, one of them meditator and came and asked me, I don't know how he got this information. Sayadaw, how can I see nimitta within 70? Who tell you I can teach you like that? Then I haven't known you can teach like this. No, I cannot teach like that. You know, they have that kind of belief, that kind of confidence. This is really very risky for me. Anyway, actually, this also mistake. You know, don't believe unnecessary things. Even the Buddha cannot guarantee like that. How I can guarantee? Anyway, the main thing is, okay, we talk about ourselves and other people, right? The first one is come from ourselves. Interests, inclinations, Then another one is external help. If we have all these situations, we have more mindfulness, more clear comprehension. Okay? Another one.
Could Sayadaw explain more in detail how to increase our mind power so that we can maintain our meditation for a long time? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. So this is the increased mind power. Oh, this is a very, very difficult question, right? Okay. So we have many different ways. For example, reading, listening. This is the one thing. Sometimes when we listen to Dhamma talk, it will just make many problems. We have a lot of doubt about meditation. Right? So reading, this is the one thing. Another one is that listening to Dhamma talk, right? Another one is that reading the books. So we have many Dhamma books. Many online Dhamma book, offline Dhamma book, many. So sometimes some Dhamma books just make the problem. Some Dhamma books will make you encouragement. So you have to choose special topics for special conditions. Okay. I have to say practical way, right? In my case, when I was in small town in a Bali school, whenever I have wrong thoughts or unwholesome thoughts, I read the chapter of Asubha. Especially when I have the sensual desire, right? I just read Asubha chapter or Permata Sangha. I can overcome this problem. I can subside my mind. When I moved to Mandalay, big monastery, as I was learning Dhammacharya, then mostly at the time I read Srila Kanawaka commentary. One part is about clear comprehension. That's why clear comprehension, people say easily, not that simple, actually. And just read that chapter. Whenever I have unwholesome thoughts, like sensual thoughts or evil thoughts or any other thoughts, like evil or some discomfort in my mind, I just read that chapter. It makes me energy. It gives me energy. So similarly, there will be many stanzas in Dhammapara. Many stanzas in Dhammapara. So when I also many stanzas in the Samudaya Nikaya, very short, very effective. Then mostly one more thing is from Samudaya Nikaya. When I'm lazy, when I was meditating, and when I'm lazy, I use one stanza. Nayidan Sitila Madhava, that stanza from the Samudaya Nikaya. That means with slight effort, we cannot attain Nibbana. Nayidan Sitila Madhava. Nayidan Apena Tamasa. What little efforts I cannot achieve that kind of state. Right? So I just recite that stanza again and again. That I can get energy. This is my case. So in your case, you must choose your own reading books. Which books give you energy? So we may have many difficulties. Sometimes we also need good friends. For example, in the Bali school, sure, I also have some classmates. We study together. Then also sometimes we also check our ability. Right? So, briefly, if we wish to increase our mind power, we must have some supporting courses, such as Dhamma talks or reading books. Sometimes we just read unnecessary things. We neglect necessary things. Sometimes we don't know which one is supporting our energy. You know, I have asked many of my disciples, so they all have finished Dhamma or many other examination. When they have the same problem with me, I ask, which part of textbook do you like most? Then when you have some problem, such as like evil thoughts or sensual thoughts, then how do you overcome this problem? They did not remember which part they use. Sometimes they don't have any particular techniques to overcome this problem. So anyway, so actually we must know our ability, our conditions. Different people may have different preference. That's why I cannot say exactly, right? So find the solution from the books. Which book is the most suitable for you? Use that books. Which chapter is the most suitable for you? Use that chapter. It will be more effective for long time practice. Okay? Next one.
Sayadaw always mention about skillful. What is the meaning of skillful and how to become more skillful in meditations?
Yeah, it's very easy to say skillful, right? Okay, skill comes from experiences. Then, actually, we must know how to do. Right? If we know how to do, then we can say we are skillful. For example, okay, I should go to practical way. Focus on the breath. Then, different people may have different touching points. Some people, they want to focus very wide area. Some people wish to focus very small area. It will be different from one another. So, the main thing is, which was more comfortable for you? For example, if you focus a little bit wider area around nostril, you may feel free and comfortable. Okay, a little bit focus a little bit wider area. The main thing is to keep doing the breathing. But don't make it wider and wider purposely, right? Just natural way. Feel free as you feel comfort and pleasant, you can do it. The some people want to focus very small area. If too small, also we cannot focus very well. That's why if some people ask, how big, how wide should I focus? Then I just remind them, okay, it should not be as wide as your face. It should be smaller than your face. Another nostril. Or maybe under the eyebrow, right? You can focus anywhere. Then you can focus breathing as you feel free and comfortable. Actually, you can know by yourself. I cannot read your mind, so I cannot know which one is more convenient for you. This is for about focusing points. Another one is mostly the effort is the problem. Most of the young people have this problem. They use too much effort. Another one is the men. Men have more, because we men have more problem with using power. That's why most of the young men, or even old men, have this problem sometimes. Use too much mind power. Impatience. This is also a big problem. Then, okay, key is we must know how to focus, also where to focus, how to maintain. Right? This is the one thing. Another, how to develop. So sometimes in one session we can develop. For the first session, okay, half an hour. The next session we can practice 45 minutes. We can say this is the development, improvement. We must know all the process, all the conditions at the time. For example, when we can focus on the breath very comfortably, continuously, we must know the condition. How's our mind at the time? How's the object? How's our body posture? What are the supporting causes? For example, food, weather, environment. If we can remember all these things, we can balance better. Okay, so the skill come from ourselves, also come from other supporting causes. If we know all the supporting causes and our own conditions, we can improve. This is called skill. Okay.
Seattle, Vandami Seattle just now mentioned about sunyata. She is not so quite understand what does that mean.
Unfortunately, this is not my laptop, right? In my laptop, mostly when I give interview, I'm opening the books. Anyway, actually, I have a note about all these things in Myanmar language. Actually, sunyata means emptiness. We can also say anatta, non-self. So according to Sutta, there are many different types of sunyata. For example, when we can practice 32 body parts, this is also called sunyata. Right? In this body, there's no everlasting entity. Combinations of all the 32 body parts. We can also understand as a sunyata. So there are many different types of sunyata. That's why I cannot explain all the things in one Dhamma talk. Okay?
Vandami Seattle, he has practiced 2 years Ānāpānassati, but still cannot attain Upachara Samadhi. So if he changed to Buddhanusati, would that be beneficial?
Actually, I don't recommend to change the objects easily. So one more thing, okay, this is also a practical way. Mostly if somebody have difficulty in the meditation center, we ask them to change to 4 elements. The problem is, if they are not successful in 4 elements, they will come back to Ānāpānassati. Then it will be more problematic. When they are focused on the breath, the elements become obvious. When they focus on the element, the breathing becomes clear. That is why I don't recommend to give up one subject easily. So trying your best, and you must find what's the weakness. If you can find the solutions, it will be easier for you to continue. I have already talked to many people. In the sense of improvement, it does not come from duration. It just comes from the skill. Although you meditate 10 years, if you are not skillful, it will be the same. For example, okay, I should talk about learning, right? For example, you may learn English grammar for 10 years without speaking any English words. You cannot speak English anymore. Right? This comes from skill and practice. So in your case, 2 years are not that long. Buddha practiced 6 years in the Uruveda forest. He was doing wrong things for 5 years, more than 5 years. He was practicing wrong ways. We cannot complain about me, right? He has a very strong part of me, but he still made mistakes. That is why 2 years is not long enough. Okay? I just recommend to carry on. Okay, next one.
Vandami Seattle, in Theravada, is there so-called meditation in retreat, means in strict retreats, according to Theravada?
What do you mean?
Means in the Theravada tradition, is there strict retreats for meditations?
Strict meditation?
Strict retreat. Strict retreat means close oneself in one room without approaching others, just meditate.
Okay,
retreat.
I see. Okay. Okay, we cannot say like that all the time. Right? So one more thing. Ancient time, when they study meditation, they study all the meditation technique by heart. They have already learned all the difficulties. They have known all the difficulties theoretically. Then after that, they meditate alone. In modern community, we cannot do like this. Right? So there must be proper teacher. There must be proper assistants. Then we can practice. So that means you say like a seclusion, right? Private retreat. So if you are skillful enough, you can do private retreats. Then if you're unskillful, you must have companions, and also you must have teacher. Okay?
Yes, Yado. how to develop the power of viriya, means how to develop diligence.
Okay. There are many different ways of developing viriya. Okay, so very easier one is sense of urgency. When we have sense of urgency, we'll be diligent. For example, death. If we know we are going to die tonight, sure, we'll be very diligent in meditation. Right? This is one thing, sense of urgency. So there will be many different ways to develop sense of urgency also. Not only death, there are many other things to have sense of urgency. Okay, this is the one thing. Another one is we have to, I have already mentioned viriya, right? You have to read some suttas about viriya. That can give you some mental energy. Right? This is the one thing. Another one is listening to the Dhamma talk. That talk about viriya. It will be easier for you, right? Next one.
Pandemic Siado, after infected with COVID-19, then he felt that this time during meditation, the mind power is very weak and cannot know the breath. So, Siado, please guide me how to do.
Okay, so if we have sickness, don't force too much. Right? So more relaxation, then also calm down your mind more. As long as you can know the breathing, don't struggle too much. Is it good enough? Sometimes you cannot know the breathing, also remind yourself to know the breath. Right? I know COVID-19 is very bad. I know. Right? Also very serious. I know. You know, even say no, I'm not forgetful. You can practically understand. Sometimes I forget some questions on the spot. After COVID-19, that happened to me also.
Okay, Sayadaw, please lead us in making aspiration and sharing merits. Sadhu, sadhu.
Ita wata cha amehi.
Ita wata cha amehi.
Sampadam punya sampadam.
Sampadam punya sampadam.
Sabbe deva numodantu.
Sabbe deva anumodantu.
Sabbe buddha numodantu.
Sabbe buddha anumodantu.
Sabbe satta numodantu.
Sabbe satta anumodantu.
Sabba sampati siddhiya.
Sabba sampati siddhiya.
Idam me nyatinam hotu.
Idam me nyatinam hotu.
Sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Idam me nyatinam hotu.
Idam me nyatinam hotu.
Sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Idam me nyatinam hotu.
Idam me nyatinam hotu.
Sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Idam me punyam.
Idam me punyam.
Asavakaya.
Asavakaya.
Vaham hotu.
Vaham hotu.
Idam me punyam.
Idam me punyam.
Vipassana.
Vipassana.
Pachayo.
Pachayo.
Hotu.
Hotu.
Mama punya bhagam.
Mama punya bhagam.
Sabba sadanam.
Sabba sadanam.
Bhajami.
Bhajami.
Sabbe.
Te sabbe.
Me samam.
Me sama.
Punya bhagam.
Punya bhagam.
Lavantu.
Lavantu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Savitiyo vivajantu sokoro bhavinasatu. Mate bhavan drandaraya sukhiri kayuko bhava. Abhivadana sili sani chauta pachayino. Chattaro dhamma vatanti ayuvano sukham balam. Bhavatu sabha mangalam rakhantu sabha devata. Sabha buddhanubhavena sada sukhi bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabha mangalam rakhantu sabha devata. Sabha dhammanubhavena sada sukhi bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabha mangalam rakhantu sabha devata. Sabha sanghanubhavena sada sukhi bhavantu te. Sadhu, sadhu.